All right, here we go. First day of court. Let us remind ourselves what we're doing, though. What is the case? So we have a Professor Harebrain who is English, but I will do him with the German accent because he lived in Germany for a while and now he is German. Yeah. So he was testing a basically teleportation machine and it exploded. And the test subject was a man called Odie Assman, who was also a potential criminal guy. He'd recently been on trial for like criminal activity, but he bribed a bunch of the jurors and the judge and everything, and he got off innocent. Van Zykes, the Reaper of the Bailey, was prosecuting that. And as we all know, the curse of the Reaper is that if you are found innocent in a trial with this guy, you will eventually just die anyway. Like, you'll have an accident or something. Or someone will kill you, you know, or whatever. You're in Forza 5, finding hard to put down, trying to get into Halo Infinite. Nice. I've seen a lot of people talking Forza 5 lately as well. I mean, I've never really been into that kind of genre of games since I was a teenager, but they look so good. They look gorgeous games. Oh my god. How many wine glass bottles will get smashed today? Oh, quite a few. I'm going to say at least 3 bottles of wine and maybe 5 or 6 goblets. So it's like almost a 2-to-1 ratio of like goblets to bottles. It's the usual typical. But anyway, Odie Assman is dead. He the explosion basically catapulted him into the Crystal Tower at the whole like exposition center that's there. He was supposed to be teleported there, so Harebrain thinks that his invention worked. He's like, but it worked. He did teleport. He was over there by the time when the explosion finished, but he was already dead. And it's like, no, that's what's called being thrown by the explosion, dude. But he's dead. And now Van Zykes has to try his old friend, apparently. Albert Harebrain is a friend of his. They were at college together. And we found out that Van Zykes also, something happened to, I think, was it his brother was killed? His older brother was murdered by some serial killer. So that was just after he finished college. That's why he is the way he is now. That's why he's so sallow. He also has this mystery apprentice, the masked man that we met, who I think is actually Kazuma Asogi. I just feel like it is him, you know. We were told that he's familiar in some way, but I think it's actually him, and his death was actually fake, you know, or whatever. We met Ginny Lestrade. She's back. She's actually working with Scotland Yard as a detective now, but self-appointed. But she's kind of an apprentice under Gregson, who's back on duty after a suspension from the previous whole forging of evidence. And there was also some weird little interlude about the Esmeralda to Spells, the Waxwork Museum, and we found out that she hit somebody over the head after they tried to steal something, but I don't think that was the real true story, and knocked him out. But one of her prize exhibits has been stolen, and Herlock Sholmes is running that down because they're holding it to ransom, so he's now trying to find the whole thing. We don't know how that's going to tie in with this, but it probably will, and that's where we are right now. At the grounds of the explosion, we found a crossbow that was like a collapsing crossbow. We found a piece of green cloth that's got a rubberized back and it's burnt up, and we got a diagram made up thanks to Ginny. So there's not much of anything else we've figured out yet, though. I think we're going to get most of it in court. But what we need to do is prove this was just a horrible accident, not murder, because that will also help Harebrain protect his secret inventions. You know, like, if it's murder, then the police get to scrutinize every inch of it as a murder weapon, of his teleport machine. If it's an accident, then a provision of scientific protection allows his machine to go untouched. That's where we are. Welcome to court. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrain. I now call upon the counsels of the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice. Oh, that's right, because this is now, we've caught back up to the modern timeline after the last was with flashback, the last case. And it's after the end of the first game. and he wasn't allowed to go into court for about 6 months until we went to the Lord Chief Justice, Miles Strongheart, and beseeched him to allow us back in court, and he threw this case at us and said, sure, here you go, get on with it. Oh, he dropped a few frames as well. Keep an eye on that. My upload's been throttled by the look of it as well, so I had to adjust the bitrate a little bit today. Yeah. I'll keep an eye on that. Let me know if anything goes wrong on the stream's end. Oh yeah, and Susato isn't here, and neither is Iris. We're on our own today. Iris is helping Hurley. Ugh. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? Oh god, the scrambly eyes are back. So, I must say I recollect the victim of this case all too well, Mr. Odie Asman. Mr. Asman was well known as a financier, though that was merely a front of his diverse criminal activities. It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zykes. But the jury unanimously found him not guilty. Background updates, possibly? No, it's actually I ran speed test, and it's the ISP. I'm getting half the upload that I was getting last week. Yeah, so I don't know if that's just a problem on their end or if they're throttling. It's kind of telling that they have restricted my upload to the exact same average that I usually stream at. So yeah, my old ISP didn't used to throttle, but since I moved back in with my parents, the one that they're with, well, this is BT Internet, and they're dicks, so they're not cool. They're not hip. They don't understand the youth of today. Virgin Media, they're a hip, cool, snazzy outfit. They knew what was up. But yeah, BT, they're like, no, don't use it too much, Christ. You know, so yeah, says it all. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? They're like, yeah, here's some money. I would like service from you. Yes, here you go. And then you use it, and they're like, whoa, you're using that a bit much, don't you think? It's like, I'm paying you. Shut the fuck up. They're like, no, we're going to just turn this down a little bit. There we go. It's like somebody sells you a television, and then you watch a movie. You turn the volume all the way up because you want to hear it, you know, really like just be immersed in sound. And then the people who work for the TV shop come walking through the door and say, sorry, but your TV's too loud. We're just going to turn this down a little bit. You're like, fuck off, get off my television. It's mine. You're with Virgin as well. I really regret not moving the service to this house. I should have arranged it and I never got around to it. And eventually I was like, I should probably just cancel it and use their service that was here. Initially I didn't have a problem, then I had tons of tech problems trying to get the stream working. And then we got that sorted out by rewiring everything, and now they're throttling the connection, the bastards. So, at least I think they are. If it goes up next week, I'll recant that statement. But it's weird that it went down to the exact same rate that I was uploading at. You're not exactly being masters of subtlety there, BT. I see you. Because every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom. But 2 days ago, on the 21st of October, Mr. Asman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it? Zykes is just like, shut the fuck up. That is how your lordship would wish to describe divine retribution. But the fact remains that Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrain. That's cold, that's your buddy. Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Let's see which repeating characters we've got randomly selected this time. Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duty? Oh, that's a new guy. Hello, new person. I am most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord. Another new person. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine. Oh god. Oh, he's evil. Look at him. He is evil. Fucking... Oh, I'm watching. He did it. He did it. I'm sure he did it. He's our real suspect. Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials are all nothing more than performances. Another new they're all new characters! That means I can't recall my old voices now. Any suspicious scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang. What the fucking hell is this thing? What are you? Oh my god, have you... Please stop. Oh no. We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and then settle on one. That's it, isn't it? Yes, that's your job. Oh, it's the copper. I think he was the guy at Madden to Spells. There was a police officer asleep on duty while we were there, with a scarf wrapped around him. I think this is the guy. Oh god, he's armed! Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's the police killer Otomo lookalike again. No, that was supposed to be the other guy. And he's as exhausted as ever, it seems. Now, I'm sure you're all aware, the incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its opening. Although the death toll could have been far worse. With the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators. A tragic turn of events, and as such, the eyes of all of London, no, the whole world, will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. Can you do both? Not with me in court. You can't do it swift. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zykes. At the heart of this incident is the technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world, which apparently Iris says is also a load of shit. It wouldn't have ever worked. I think at worst all they would have done is vaporize his victim by, electrocuting him with too much voltage. One of science's latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage. The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as a super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. Good lord, that's a mouthful. It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they're subsequently reassembled. Ryu, Lord Van Zykes is talking. This is his time. Shush. Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility? Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity? My goodness, how shocking. Ha! The whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis would never stand up to scrutiny. Sir, I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field? I am, and my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock. So, this expert and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible. What is the prosecution's view on the matter? The prosecution would assert that the accused's instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What? What? Order! The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Asman's life, in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. But this disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim. I mean, I must admit that's kind of plausible. I was wondering on what grounds they were going to consider this murder. It's like, what would his motive be if this guy was actually his financier? Like, this is the man signing the paychecks. Why would you kill him? He's the only man signing your paychecks. Thank you, Lord Van Zykes. The prosecution's stance is clear. But you will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims. I suppose also it would be weird to be like, yeah, so there's a research grant coming up for the British government, and I could have it all to myself if I use the invention that I'm trying to get a grant for to kill the man, and then claim it was an accident. Do you think the British government would then actually invest in this rather dangerous piece of technology? Probably not. You will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims. Gladly, my lord. Oh, here we go again. The cape's off at the beginning. Bailiff, show the first witness to the stand. Oh no. Gregson with his fish and chips. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. They're actually putting the accused up as a witness. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question in charge of the following investigation. Albert Harebrain, scientist. Scientist. You were born in England but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? You also have a German accent, which is kind of weird. Yes, that's right. After graduating from the university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made amazing discoveries. Which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. What you demonstrated was incredible, all right. An incredible explosion. But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, there was the terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the forensics investigation team. Yes, he dead. Totally a success. This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it, the centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim rammed straight into it. I see. Very well. Submit the photograph as evidence. Yes, after he beamed into the Crystal Tower. Apparent stab wound to the chest as well. Well, we found a crossbow. I wonder if maybe that he was stabbed with the crossbow. No, with a bolt from the crossbow. Yeah. But where's the bolt? It was made of ice. As the courts heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Asman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being, he was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. So, to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct? Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by a malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right, that must be it. My splendid machine. My poor splendid machine. You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage! The wreckage! But that being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simply, my lord. I beg your pardon? Isn't that right, witness? What? Sorry, me? No, your neighbor. Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone can state that with complete certainty. What? How can he possibly think that? Thank you, Inspector. I think we'd better proceed to formal testimony. You will explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for murder. I mean, it's going to come round to the stab wound. It's like, yeah, okay, the thing exploded, but the guy isn't burnt, and he got stabbed. So maybe he was trying to teleport the guy away to hide the body. The corpse that went crashing through the crystal tower had a broken neck. Well, yes. If you crashed through any kind of tower, you might break your neck. I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. It was my mistake. But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. Because a broken neck isn't. There was a lesion in the chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere, and this fella's the only one who could have done it. Did anybody see him stab the victim? An extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart. Somebody really wanted this guy dead. Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. A coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. Hey, you only live twice, Van Zykes. No, no, and no. That couldn't be further from the truth. I have here the experiment, a plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood himself inside something called the birdcage, ready to be beamed instantly. Pew! To the second level of the crystal tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in mid-air. Bonk! From where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the crystal tower's large round window. My word. One assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower then. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident, a terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. Oh, wait a minute. Is this going to come back around to that screwdriver that we found? Oh, yeah, we found a screwdriver on the platform, and then he spirited the damn thing away from us. And we're like, oi, we want that. And he's like, nope, this is mine. A murder weapon? Are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like it entered into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel. Broken neck from the impact of a violent fall, stabbed in the chest with a sharp object. Oh. I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. And only the person on the stage with Mr. Asman was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist. Then really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well, counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. I need to focus here. That's right, get the slappage going. It's been a while. Alright, let me have a look at this stuff before we actually cross-examine, though. Let's arm ourselves with information. So, this... It looks like he's been strapped into some kind of backboard then as well. Got stabbed alright. The wound to the chest that pierced the heart inflicted by a sharp implement is the cause of death, and then the broken vertebra resulting from the impact after falling from a considerable height. I still say the guy was thrown by the explosion. But the way they tell it, the explosion happened, this tilted upwards, and then the guy ended up here. But they say that he was still there when the explosion happened. But it should have all happened simultaneously, sure. So, I mean, I imagine he would have been thrown. But, I mean, we found the crossbow nearby. But we don't have a bolt. And a piece of torn canvas with a rubberized backing was found near the stage with scorch marks. So that must have come from the blast itself. We didn't see anything when we were looking around the site that kind of matched up to it and looked like it had had a piece torn off of it. So we have no idea what that's about yet. Alright, so the corpse goes crashing through the tower and had a broken neck. Are you suggesting that because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly, which highlights something else about this whole rum business. What's that? The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. Ah. After the explosion, the cage with the fella inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere in midair. Although the experiment ended in disaster, the so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur. Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster? A miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection.
Hold it!
So the angle of projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself, personally? Absolutely, the calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out. Only you got it wrong, didn't you? Yes, that's right, that's the point. The calculation is so complicated that even I can make the mistake. Dapus, hello, how are you? Come on in. Nice to see you. Happy Friday. People fall for that brazen confidence. I should try it. Well, you should try some confidence, Ryu. I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, ambient temperature. I even considered every possible variable. So I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously then you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Asman was wearing at the time, I suppose. Ah. Oh. Crackling comets! The answer should have been 3! Oh no. So much for safety first. The 3 must be for safety third. How's you all? I'm doing good, thank you. How about you? How are things today? Post-mortem examination revealed injuries, a fatal wound. Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make sense. I didn't think I'd have to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose. 2 right. Obviously, at first, we thought the bloke had died due to spine snapping in half, as it were. But you're saying that's not the case. You'll get your answer once I've finished my fish and chips. You don't keep butting in every few seconds. But we all know that's a bottomless bag. God, they're even acknowledging that it is a bottomless bag now. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass window. It would be reasonable to assume that is the cause of death. Right, that's what we all thought. But it was a red herring, wasn't it? A lesion in the chest where he'd been stabbed by something sharp in the heart. This case sounds brutal. Oh yeah, it's crazy. The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensics investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere, thanks. What was the nature of the sharp object? Among the accused tools that were used in the demonstration is one of particular interest. The screwdriver, yeah, this. Ah yes, that would appear to be some kind of... Wah! Ha, there he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Andrew, of course. Ah, do you know each other already? He is one of my dear friends, like all of my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Judge is like, what? Okay, we get a straitjacket in here. Andrew is a flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead. It would appear that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank. Ah, that isn't... It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt. Was it tested, or are you just guessing? No! And that's not all. Along the sharp side of this Andrew fellow is completely inconsistent with the victim's wound. Completely consistent, not inconsistent. Oh my god, I was like, wait, are you making my point to me? What? What? Was? Ja, nein! Achtung! Order! Order! The court will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence. Oh, relegated to an inanimate object, as you clearly are. His trusty screwdriver named Andrew, there are traces of blood at the tip that match the shape of the victim's wounds. I wonder if that could have been fired from the crossbow. That would be pretty cool. So, one of Professor Harebrain's tools is the murder weapon. Great. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere, and this fella's the only one who could have done it. Oh shit, I meant to check that. So that's all the testimony I have to work with. I had no idea the victim had been stabbed. That changes everything. Did Van Zykes keep that to himself until now on purpose to gain advantage? Oh well, I suppose all I can do is press the witnesses for as much new information as possible. I didn't press the final statement. He was killed before he went anywhere. This fella's the only one who could have done it. What grounds do you have for saying that? Ha! Do you really need to ask? There were only 2 people on that public experiment stage in front of a whole crowd. The victim, Mr. Odiasman, and the accused, Professor Harebrain. And we know for certain before the experiment the victim was alive. That's right, I saw him with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only someone else on the stage with a victim could have done it. Oh. We might have to go through this again then, because he's acting up. And Albert Harebrain is the only bloke who fits the bill. Unless you've got some other bright idea, Sunshine, in which case let's hear it. My learned friend's silence is your answer, Inspector. Can a man have a moment to think? Alright. Skip on through. Alright, so we'll then discuss things with Harebrain.
Hold it!
I only go all the way through because I like to read everything, because there could be just one tiny fragment of information in his discussion that we won't get to read if we interrupt and speak to the professor. No one else could have done it. Really? Hi.
Excuse me.
Oi, mate. Professor Harebrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor. Ah, sorry. I was just calculating the optimum coefficient of electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that? Hey, when an idea comes to you, you gotta run with it. It seems as though you might have had something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Oh god, yes. Yes, that's right, of course. He just said that no one else could have done it, didn't he? Yes, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh? I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Asman, as you say. Eh? Explain, please, Professor. Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins. I had heard. Then surely you see, if I'd plunged something the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath, no? As a blood swimming pool. It's so weird to see the animations with this outfit. When he tried to fix the band on his arm, it looks as if he's rubbing his arm weirdly. It is, yeah, it's so bad that they didn't put the armband there in this outfit as well, and so he can keep adjusting it. But, oh well. Maybe it's just an unconscious habit because he's been doing it all this time before, and he just keeps reaching for the armband. It's like a phantom armband. You know, it's like, oh, the armband's moved again, but it's not really there. But, oh, it's bugging me. I can feel it moving. But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time, and yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood. Well, no, I suppose not. You see, not one! True, I didn't see anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument that I should have made on your behalf as your lawyer. Thanks for doing my job for me. I'll send you a bill. Order! Order! Oh, here we go. Prepare for the first glass. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I favour a drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friend's adducing. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Barack, but I'm really not a patch on you. Jesus. No, you are not. No? 9? You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have? A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Ah, of course. If you leave the blade in. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? Very well, you will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in the body while he was beamed through the air.
Hold it!
Why would you think that, Inspector? With any wound, it's only when you pull the weapon out that the profuse bleeding occurs. While it's still lodged in the body, it acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word. I see. You don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator. Where's Susato-san when you need her? Her and her book of many things. If you ask me, this bloke masked what he was doing from view with his body before stabbing Asman in the chest. Then he beamed the victim off the stage with his fancy device, the screwdriver still where he planted it. I would never do such a thing. Not to my precious tools. I would never use them for such dirty work. You only use tools for their intended purpose. That's common knowledge for any scientist. The fact remains the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained. The prosecution has demonstrated it. Okay. So let's have a look at Andrew the screwdriver. So there's the blood. This is blood. Mr. Asman's, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at a murder weapon. Yes, you look at them and you see blood. And then, of course, the A for Andrew. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill of the floor of the Kinesis machine, which could be important information. I should definitely make a note of it. Yeah, because that's the thing, right? This was found in the grill of the Kinesis machine on the stage. It wasn't still in his body. I mean, okay, if he'd been teleported, then this is going to be the crucial things. We have to prove that he wasn't really teleported, in my opinion. Because if he was, then the screwdriver would have gone with him. But if he wasn't, then it would have fallen out because he was really hurled. So it would just fall out then, wouldn't it? So that could be very important. And then will come the question of how it got there. You know, how did this guy get stabified with it? Crossbow. Yeah, it could have been loaded into the crossbow and fired like an arrow. It's got, I mean, the A handle is notched at the bottom. It would have been perfect for it. Although I think it would have probably caused it to tumble. But anyway, yeah, the crossbow could have been used. A metal screwdriver found poking out the grill of the base of what remains of the Kinesis machine, a very distinctive handle. And because it's named Andrew, it would have an A for a handle, right? So maybe that's the only screwdriver he has with an A for a handle. So, yeah. Crashing through the tower with a broken neck, made a miscalculation with the beam. The post-mortem revealed a fatal injury, where he'd been stabbed in the heart. The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in the body while he was beamed through the air. You see, that's the thing he's saying. While it was beamed through the... I pressed him instead of... I was going to object. I was going to object! No! No, I gotta skip through all this again. So... yeah, our piece of evidence now has information tagged on it that contradicts that, so we can use the two statements against each other and say, well, this was found on the stage, not stuck in the guy's body, right? So if he was beamed through the air with this on his body, why was it on the stage?
Objection!
You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding, but that's... is that unequivocal? Look, there was no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in the body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It is common medical knowledge, my friend, even on your side of the world. Yes, but about the screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Now you come to mention it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the Defense Counsel to investigate? That you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Hey, no, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I let him look, nothing more. I was very clear he wasn't to touch anything. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it? What are you getting at? If this tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. Ah. That's right. It should have been beamed across the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Asman, and been found still lodged in the victim's chest. Order! Order! How do you explain this, Inspector? I don't... Prepare for another suspension, Gregsy. It looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him as he was beamed. If the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred, obviously that should have beamed to the destination as well. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that the instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. Nice. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its arguments, we can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied on. If looks could kill, Lord Van Zykes is stumped. Yes? Ooh, what now? Oh, no. Frantic notes. Do you have something to say, witness? Yes, I knew it. It bears out the equations hold. Mr. Naruhodo, don't worry. About what? Without delving into the details, there is no inconsistency. What? Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Asman's chest. My trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrews remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. What? Dude, you just made the prosecution's case for you. Oh no. It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly we should hear the accused's explanation. Yes, the bottle! No! Or should I say this brilliant scientist's explanation, you butt-kiss, just because he's your old friend from college. Just when I'd found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument, my own client fucked it up. Fucking scientists. Very well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with the scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold. In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. One of the cool things with the Van Zykes as well is we went to his office last stream before the trial started to go and talk to him about the attack that was like he was attacked in the middle of the Great Exhibition. So we went to go and say hi to him, and then we found out he was prosecuting this case as well. But in his room, in his office, there was a cabinet that had several bottles of wine on racks on top of it, and then the cabinet itself, like the glass front on it, you could see through, and there were loads of these crystal goblets. And he said that, you know, he handpicks the wines, and he also makes, like, he watches over the making of the goblets as well. Like, he had loads of them, and he's like, you know, makes sure that the quality of them is perfect. Like, he has to supervise them being made. And it's like, holy shit, just so you can break them in court every time you want to make a point. It's like, dude, you take this way too seriously. What the fuck? That is extreme, yeah. It was really funny, though, that they actually acknowledged it. Like, dude, you just keep breaking these in court, like hundreds of them. And he's like, yes, but of course I have to get new ones as a result, and they have to be, you know, perfect, so... To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states the Kinesis cannot transport metal, though hence the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point just read by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Asman was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. So, the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. And therefore, Professor Albert Harebrain could still have been the killer. My great hypothesis holds, you see. Don't be so proud of that. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. I was not addressing you, witness. Professor Harebrain, as your lawyer, I advise you to stop talking. Yes? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No. My only interest lie up in upholding my hypothesis. I am a scientist, after all. I'm on the side of science! Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Dude, science doesn't take sides. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm about to fire you as my client. Still at the stage of gathering data. Hang on, let me just look at something first then. So, metal wouldn't be transported. So, how did that get over there? Kinesis didn't work. In fact, not even that. Also, I imagine that button is probably made of gold. Gold's a metal. Or it's gold plated at the very least.
Hold it!
And yet your retort to my argument wasn't lacking in confidence in any way. No scientist can find the truth without first finding self-belief. Those were the words of a certain scientist I hold in the very highest of esteem. But you realize that disproving my argument puts you in a very precarious position, don't you? No scientist should strive to protect himself more than he strives to protect the truth. More words from the same great scientist, you know. Words that are causing me a lot of trouble. Who is this scientist? I'll kill him! I mean, maybe not really, but I'm afraid I couldn't tell you, Mr. Naruhodo. But as soon as I remember the magnificent genius's name, you'll be the first to know. It might be worth keeping the names of your idols to mind. You're wasting your breath, my learned friend. This scatterbrain even forgets my name at times. So Lord Van Zykes really did have a friend once. But I didn't notice hell freezing over, so... curious. So it will not transport metal, hence the metal weapon that would have stayed put. I think that's the statement we need to contradict with the evidence. Your hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven then? No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. But it's widely known that the metals can't be decomposed by electrolysis. Yes, of course. So I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? He's an idiot, that's what it is. It's the whole reason that the birdcage is made of wood, you see. Sorry, the birdcage? Yes, that's what I call the what? C. obtusa cage. The C. obtusa cage, in which Mr. Asman was placed for my kinesis. Ah, the jail cell which the victim was detained. It does indeed seem to be made of timber of some sort, yes. I'll thank you not to refer to it as an instrument of incarceration, your lordship. In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage, as if it were made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it. Yes. It all fits perfectly with the mathematical model. But the ultimate conclusion, then, is that the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict the fatal injury on the victim, is it not? Indeed, sir. Someone beam me out of this nightmare. In other words, the point raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. You seem to be pleased by that. Yes, another example of my hypothesis is holding true. But I sense some sarcasm, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you not pleased? No, we are displeased. We are very displeased. I knew it. At the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for Mr. Asman losing his life. The advancement of science is no excuse, I know that. Well, you're not quite right. Tell the court, did you have a close relationship with Mr. Asman? Oh yes, well, no, not really. I mean, I had only met him 2 or 3 times. And we only ever discussed my hypothesis and the project, and the research grant, of course. A patron of research. Wouldn't have been possible without him. How did you come to know Mr. Asman in the first place? Do you always do deals with shady criminal types? A year ago now, a small provincial science journal published a little paper about my work. That is really a small journal. Holy shit. That's a scientific journal? Good gracious. I should need new spectacles. So small, isn't it? I might have an extraordinary hypothesis and a great promise, but at the time I had no money. I had to eat tiny little meals at a tiny little cafe and drink watered down water out of a tiny little glass. A watered down glass as well, maybe? Oh. Nothing worse than when you water down water with water. It's just, so watery. Oh. But Mr. Assman read the paper and came to visit me at my tiny little laboratory. And he offered you money to help fund your work. Exactly, that's exactly what happened. But I love water. Yeah, but would you really want your water being watered down? That's what you have to ask yourself. So this is just water. It hasn't been watered down with more water, it's fine. I handled the theoretical side of things and Mr. Assman provided me with an engineer for the practical. Sounds like extra water. Yes, that sounds like drinking more water with a few extra steps. You water down your water with whiskey. Nice. The three of us produced a fantastic machine together. The machine that you brought to the Great Exhibition to demonstrate. Well, we had to apply for the government for some sort of inspection to be allowed the exhibit, I think. I didn't understand all the side of things. Mr. Assman took care of it. He was a wonderful man. Really, I owe him everything. A duty to protect the incredible machine. Well, if you put ice in your water, would it not water it down? It depends if you, oh my god, yes, probably. And can you imagine if you made the ice out of watered down water? So you had watered down ice and put it in a glass of watered down water. Would you even have any water left at that point? It just, you know, we can go on forever with this. I feel like there's a whole new dimension of like water consistency that we have not yet plumbed the depths of. When you say that you built the machine together, does that mean that you were involved in its construction? Yes. Well, not exactly. I'm not good with the practical side of machines myself, so the physical construction was done by an engineer. Little remains of your creation now, though, following the explosion. Repair will no doubt be impossible. Yes, I realize that, but still. If someone were to gather all the broken parts, they could discover the secret of my hypothesis. But Mr. Assman and I toiled over the machine for so long, we put our hearts and souls into it. I have to protect our work. So, what's left of the machine must be kept safe. It's only fair, because what's happened was an accident. It would be too watered down to even taste like water, right? It would become an entirely new thing at that point. So that's the extent of the testimony, then thank goodness for that. I don't want him doing any more damage. He's already basically proven that he could have been the culprit. Let's call it air. A nice refreshing glass of air. Wow. But it seems as though he really cares about his defending his hypothesis. Still, I wonder, what if his hypothesis is just fundamentally flawed, like him? So he says that Kinesis cannot transport metal, and a metal weapon would have stayed put. This is going to be guesswork, kind of. I think I have to dispute this, I think, with the photograph. Because they're saying that Odie Assman was inside the apparatus in the middle here. And then there was an explosion here that caused the apparatus to tilt upwards, and that beamed him up here instead of beaming him down here onto the stage at the opposite side, and he fell. But in the meantime, he was stabbed, and the metal wouldn't have been transported. What we need to do is prove that this machine doesn't bloody work, and that the guy was just hurled by that explosion. And that's how the metal object came to end up back on the stage, because as he got hurled by the explosion, it will have fallen out. Whereas if he got beamed, there would have been no, like, rough movement, and the metal should have been over here, but they're saying it wouldn't have transported metal, and therefore it would have stayed behind. So if it wouldn't transport metal, if this machine really worked, then the guy wouldn't have these glasses on, or at least the metal from the glasses. And probably that button as well. Unless that's made of wood. I don't know, actually, it's got a kind of a grainy texture look to it. It might actually be made of wood. But that is metal. Clearly metal. So I think we object with this.
Objection!
Yes, we do. Professor Harebrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made, is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at the photograph that was taken at the scene. Particularly, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Asman is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal? No! Metal can't... That's not... Metal! No! 9! We've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should also have predicted that the metal-rimmed spectacles would be found in the same place. My hypothesis! My hypothesis! Professor Harebrain, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is shit. Is clearly flawed. No! With all the mathematics I did, the precious math. Order! Order! Council, what is the implication of this? If on the day in question the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all my work. If I could say something here, in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society. Yes, juror number 4, go ahead. As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And that's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait! Great Scott! Are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, hasn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. I saw the wreckage of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. No! Never! That machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What the devil is that blasted act all about, eh? Who made such a daft rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor out? Raise an objection or wait and see? Ooh. Well, actually, I mean, the thing is, we've already proven that the machine itself wasn't the murder weapon that the screwdriver was. Therefore, no matter whether or not the guy's found innocent or guilty based on this being the murder weapon, the machine should be protected still. Right? I'm going to raise an objection.
Objection!
Professor Harebrain has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes? But even so... Even so what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public, he would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing. He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money. If the government was foolish enough to have deemed the man's ridiculous notion plausible, he and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators? What would be the value of such a grant? £10? Oh my goodness. You're an order of magnitude out, madam. £500 a year. Oh, you could live in Ansem on that much for years. The Society noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently, and plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty, motive enough for murder, I assure you. Well, that didn't work. No. I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound. The science is sound. Please, you must believe me. No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantaneously to the Crystal Tower, which means that the experiment was a success. Ah, Baroque! And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused. Oh, Baroque! Oh, Baroque! Come on, dude, I thought we were friends. Where's this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may. Yes, Lord Van Zykes. The prosecution would like to summon a new witness to the stand. New witness? What would be the nature of their involvement? They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition who were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses? Very well, the court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from the witnesses to the incident. The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no postish. The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend. Oh, yes? It's time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me? We shall now take a short recess, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witness to take the stand. As you wish, my lord. Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes. And we get to slap our fucking client. That's it. No more talking for you until the case is done. Hey, at least we got through the first couple of testimonies without the jury making a rash decision. That's a new record for this game, and all new jurors, so maybe that's why. Maybe they're just not used to this yet. Mr. Naruhodo, what on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis! My amazing hypothesis! You've been picking holes in it from the start! Yes, sorry about that, but I'm trying to save your life, you idiot. But you promised me! You said you proved that the dratted explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone's hands, but all you've done so far is try to undermine me. Yes, I did make you a promise, you're right. I said that I believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end, but I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? But if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a consequence, didn't he? Oh! Oh, no! No! You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster. Not just as a scientist, but as a human being. Well, that might be a little over the top. And while we're on the subject, what about Baroque? He's being awful. Dude, he's supposed to prosecute you. Claiming his old university friends to be a murderer, you mean? He's a disaster, not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait. He's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapien anymore. Oh, well, here we go. Glad that's cleared up. So, what, you think he's some kind of demon? Can I double check something with you? Ah, yes, what? The machine and demonstration you prepared, they were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume? There was no trickery involved? Be fucking honest with me, boy. I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn to, with the firm belief that the science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe it. Well, I don't. But alright, Professor, I understand. Counsel, defendant. The prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. The court is about to be in session again. Not been 20 minutes yet. Make your way to the courtroom, please. Ay, ay, ay. It all hinges on that demonstration. If the professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims, it leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. But on the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was adamant. Practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor on the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? We should be trying to prove that the explosion was an accident and that the murder was committed by someone else. With the screwdriver. Using the crossbow as a delivery mechanism. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of the court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? The prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. So, Lord Van Zykes, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes. Why do I get the feeling that Ginny Lestrade is going to be one of them? Because she said she saw it as well. Indeed they did. And as luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. It's Ginny Lestrade. Fuck. So the testimony we're about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Yes, a police detective who was formerly a pickpocket who was convicted in this very court of pickpocketry and other nasty shit, even though she was cleared of murder. Perfect, a detective of all people. The prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused. Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So, bring forth your witness now. Bailiff, show the witnesses in. The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. What the fuck? Here she is. Hey, Ginny. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear. My name is Balthazar Loon. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in the vicinity of the Experimento stage. God, he's one of these weird talkers. Oh no, another German. My name is Wilhelm Gostrich Sigmunds Ormenstein. I have come to see the Great Exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. No. I am very rich. Yes, you are. You could afford a balloon. Well done, kid. Living the life. Inspector Ginny Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective. Even Sherlock Sholmes agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition, and I got to go up on one of them big balloons. It was amazing. Oh, Gina again. She did mention she'd seen the disaster from up in the balloon, actually, didn't she? And she clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above. To make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet, very low. Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet, so that's about 18 meters then. Let me just check my conversion charts. God, where's Susato with her book of many things? Thank you for your introductions. Now, will you give your formal testimony for the court? Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point from above the stage. It was an incident terrible. I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. There's this huge bang from the stage, and then the next second another bang in the sky besides us. And from amidst the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower. I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower. A most extraordinary collective account, I must say. Could I just clarify something? There's a detail in the witness's testimony I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically, that there were 2 explosions. More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places, yes. Here we go again. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. Okay. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. And there was a bang. Then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called birdcage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, the second explosion occurred directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The birdcage appeared at the site of the explosion and subsequently plummeted down into the crystal tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. You let go of your balloon! The blast was so hot, but I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. Go and buy another one. He is rich, so he can afford all these balloons. I still have lots of money. Precisely who is this curious infant? I am told he's a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the Great Exhibition. Yeah, I'm here in London on a sightseeing trip with my elementary school. We will have the benefit of a child's point of view on the testimony. Do we really need that? When I remove the mask, this is what I look like. Ah yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure. You don't look at all like the Hamburglar now. Ja, everybody says so. Great disguise then, yeah. When you had that mask on, I could have sworn you were like 45 years old. Phew. The point is the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court, namely that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the Crystal Tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused, who was with Mr. Asman on the stage, could possibly have committed the murder. Yes, thank you, counsel. You sound like a broken record. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So, the defense's cross-examination now, please. Yes, my lord. Where do we take this, I wonder? Terrible incident. Glad the balloons were not damaged. There were 3 balloons flying above the experimentation stage at the time, I understand. Si, all 3 of them. My bellissimi bambini. They're very popular, senor. Some people will pay £10 for one ride. £10? That's more than my annual stipend. £20 a month, that is my pocket money. Fuck you. Bloody rich kid, you. Royals have all the luck. I got up there for free, I did. Played the old I work for Her Majesty's Police card, you know. Yeah, detectives have all the luck. If they're so popular, why would you only be operating such a small number of balloons, though? Because if I have too many in the skies, they could crash into each other. The operators for the balloons were decided by lots, with each operator manning a particular area. See, and the zone above the public experimentation stage is the most profitable. The other impresarios, they hate me. Thank you, witnesses. I think the court has a pretty clear picture of the arrangement for the balloon rides at the exhibition. Perhaps we could hear more about what you actually witnessed in the incident. Right, I can fill you in there, my lord. Huge bang at the stage, and next second another bang in the sky. So, I'm wondering what the other bang would have been. Like, what could have caused that? So you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air? Yep, isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, Odo, being a lawyer's a mug's game. You should join the force and we can go flying together. It is Gina, yes. It's Gina Lestrade. She's now Detective Lestrade. So yeah, a sonic boom? Maybe, but I mean, it's not very far away for the thing to have then suddenly slowed down and crashed again. If it was a sonic boom, he would have flown much further away, just from sheer inertia. But yeah, fancy. But it's like Detective Lestrade from the Sherlock Holmes novels now as well. It's like, oh, thank God we can actually call her Detective Lestrade now. Well, you know me so well. Yes, well, anyway, could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything. We saw everything because we were up above it all. That dodgy cove climbing into the cage and that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it happened. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage disappeared, just like that. You are describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by the electricity, I believe. I didn't know what to make of it. But then there was another bang right in me ear. I looked around and there was this huge, great fireball right next to us in the sky, and there was nothing there before. Kid's got something to say. Let's go all the way through and then we'll come back to him. And what appears out of the flames? The cage, that's what. And that description sounds like the moment after the man was beamed instantaneously through space. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? But that's the 20th century for you, I reckon. We're not there yet, but okay. So the people who actually saw the demonstration with their own eyes really believe they saw something miraculous take place? And from the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere.
Hold it!
We'll come back to that other statement and check in with him afterwards. We'll go through all of them first. So you're saying that you witnessed the actual moment that the instantaneous kinesis took place? During this stay in London, I have seen many extraordinary things. The great exhibition itself, the instantaneous kinesis, big explosion, the British courtrooms and strange creatures. Sorry, strange creatures? What? Ja, you! A most unusual creature from the east. Wow! Oh yes, but I see princes wearing masks every day of the week. Did you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Loon? No, I did not see the explosion myself, however. It's called musicals, not sings. Yes, yeah, he's referring to, going to the theatre, yeah. The cage itself fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the tower. Did you see that actually happen? No, not really. I did not. I saw it after it hit the tower. There was a grand confusion around the stage. I ran to see what happened. I was terrorized by the idea of one of my balloons had crashed. I suppose they are his livelihood. But when I look into the sky, all my precious balloons were still there. I saw it though. I saw it slam into the tower. After all, I am a detective now. Then tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade. That's what I like to hear. So he didn't get a good look in the cage, but no one went near it. Was it you who gave the order to keep people away? Eh? Use your head, Odo. How could it have been me? I was up in the balloon, weren't I? Yeah, but you could have shouted down, "You stay away from that!" Right, okay. Because I weren't available, it was the boss who'd have to leg it over there. That would be Gregson. He was getting shoved and kicked all over by the panicking spectators as he tried to seal off the scene. It was a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing. Poor Inspector Gregson. So anyway, I couldn't see the cage that well because of the smoke. And I didn't really want to see, to be honest. I was scared out of my wits. Keep it together, Inspector. The prosecution really is asserting that the demonstration was genuine, but what if he was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? That would mean that the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. The two explosions would have thrown everyone watching into a panic for sure. I think I need to find out more about what exactly people saw in that time. Right, so it was in the middle of this one where the kid starts getting all squirrely. So you saw the accident happen from up above. So everything. The guy climbed in the cage. The professor pulled all the levers. That's when it happened. Massive bang. And it all disappeared. I don't know what to make of it. There was another bang right in me. I looked around, the huge great fireball right next to us in the sky, and there was nothing there before, but the kid is thinking about something.
Excuse me.
Oi, you! Hamburglar! Master Gotts, does your memory of the day differ? My teacher at elementary school said that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use your full name. Yes. Well, we already did meet for the first time. This is we're now, you know, we've moved past the meet part. What was it all again? Wilhelm Gottfried Sigmunds Ormstein. Just the four names, then. Are you sure you're a royalty? The point is, do you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gina Lestrade's last remark, perhaps? Oi, get it right, Odo. It's Inspector Lestrade. Why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment? That is not what I saw. Oh? Yeah. There was a second explosion and it was right beside our balloon, that's true. But I'm sure. Which is what I said in it. 1 minute there was nothing, next there was a massive explosion. My teacher at elementary school said that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable. Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? Another balloon. Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky. A green balloon, you say? Eh? You what? I never saw nothing like that. Well, I did. I saw it. And you can't say I didn't. I will complain to the council. I will cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. You cannot say that this is a lie. That is not allowed. It is forbidden. Playing the bleeding royalty card, are you? Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police. In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony. In the interest of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia. It was not the skies that exploded. It was the green balloon that was next to ours at the time. Alright, let's get more information. But we've got some green burned fabric with a rubberized lining. A green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that? Of course I'm sure. I am a proud Bohemian prince. All these questions are making me boring. Okay. I think you mean bored. English is very annoying. The language of my countrymen is far superior. Ragazzo is very wrong lie. It's very wrong to lie. Lie? Flying balloons never explode. For the same reason the planets never explode. It is logical. What have the planets got to do with anything? Such a rhapsody, yes. Please tell me that doesn't mean logical. If you insult me, you insult all of Bohemia. Mia dear. I will have the army come and shoot all of you stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them. No more balloon for you. You are a nasty boy. Oh, very well then. Go on, have one. Here you are, Your Highness.